Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 6th annual Imagine This Women's International Film Festival. Very excited to be here today for this New York City-based film festival that aims to amplify and empower independent and aspiring women filmmakers from around the world. I'm very happy to be moderating this panel for the shorts of Block 12. I am also an Imagine This alumni from last year in 2020 with my short film Hello from Taiwan. And I am so honored to be here with these awesome, talented women. Hello, everyone. So let's have everyone introduce themselves with their name, where you're at right now, and also the name of your film and also what it's. So we'll start with Krista and Becky.
Sure. Hi. Thanks, Becky. I'm Krista Couture. I'm based in Toronto, Canada. I'm a writer, producer, and musician, broadcaster here. And our short film that Becky and I co-directed is based on an excerpt from a book that I wrote called How to Lose Everything. And it's the very final passage in this memoir that I wrote about different experiences of loss. And it was the one moment where I decided to give a little bit of advice about experiencing loss. And when I wrote it, I just knew I could see it animated. And then I was introduced to Becky's work and knew that she was the person to bring it to life.
Amazing. And Becky, how were you involved with the film?
Yeah, so I got to collaborate with Krista on telling a portion of her beautiful and moving story. I'm based on a farm in Northumberland County, Ontario, so close to Krista, but far enough away that we did most of this via correspondence and during COVID as well. So it was a collaboration at a distance, which is a nice thing that animation can do. And it's really a pleasure to be here and to see the film find its audience.
Amazing. Thank you. And let's go with Elena next.
Hi. My name is Elena Gillard. I am based in Costa Rica right now, and my short is named Iridiscente. I'm currently studying film. I did a year of film and now I'm studying journalism. I'm a writer. I really want to be a writer. I enjoy all sorts of anything related to communication and moving images. Let's leave it at that. Iridiscente is about a girl her age is kind of ambiguous, so that it's also open to interpretation. She's like a young woman, late teenager, let's say, and she has a fear, like this huge phobia of water, and wants to overcome it by doing like a magic ritual spell with her best friends. But not everything goes the way that we want it to in life. So something interesting happens. Let's just leave it at that.
That's great. Thank you. And what about Chiara after? Let's do that.
Hi, my name is Kiara Hollander. I am currently based in Burlington, Vermont, which is also where I'm from. My short film is Women of the Earth. It's actually the first piece of a longer series, all entitled Women of the Earth. This first episode focuses on Melanie and Freya Dobson, who are female hemp farmers in upstate New York, and they are working to heal the degraded land by planting industrial hemp and cannabis. And yeah, I'm happy to be here. I made the film back in 2020. I am both a director, producer, and creator, along with my partner, Lauren Nolan, who couldn't join us today.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I pronounced your name totally wrong. So it's Kiara, now I know.
Yeah, all good.
Thank you. And what about Arantxa next?
I am Arantxa Salamanca, the director of the short film The Day My Grandma Met Bruce Willis, and I live in Madrid. The short film is very special for me because the starring is my grandma. She died a few years ago, and the story is at 95% true. My grandma was an actress since she was a child. She worked in a travel theater company for all over Spain, playing classic plays. And when my granddad died, my grandma settled in Madrid, believing she would probably never act again. But at the age of 83, she jumped onto the small screen in a TV series, and she became famous. And one day she receives a call. Bruce Willis was in Madrid shooting a film called with Sigourney Weaver. It was The Light Cold Day or something like that. And they need an old lady to play a role. And this is where the story begins. My grandma was going to be at a Hollywood production. And this is the beginning of the short film.
Amazing. I love it. It was really great. Thank you so much. And next, let's do Nicole. And who is your lovely child?
This is my daughter. Hi, I'm Nicole, director, writer, producer of Buddy. Sorry, she just wanted to pop in, so hopefully no one minds a child present. But very happy to be here. I'm so inspired by all the women in this group. You're just, it's fine. Just give me a second. Sorry. Anyway, I'm just really inspired to be here and part of the group. My film, Buddy, is a story about two women who are kind of have drifted apart as friends. And one of the friends is, asked to watch the other's beloved dog, and the dog goes missing. And it's more about, friendship. I feel like I'm interested in the theme of female friendship a lot, personally. And so for me, it was just a way to explore that topic, which I'm so glad that it found a home, because I feel like not a lot of places want to watch stuff about female friends, working it out and just being flawed women. So thank you to Patrice for including us. And anyway, I'll tell a funny story about Buddy just real quick, because I wanted to share this. I was struggling to get pregnant when I wrote Buddy. And now here we are. So I'm going to put her out of the room because she's mad. But sorry to distract everybody. Okay, bye.
All right, that was great. Thanks, Nicole, if you can hear us over there. Sorry. That's okay. Thank you. Thanks so much for introducing your film. And yeah, it's so great for everyone to be here. I would love to ask a lot of questions individually. So we'll start in order of my list, so not necessarily in the order that we introduce ourselves. So Arantxa, let's do, I guess I was curious, because this is a little bit based off of a true story. I was curious, how did you find your actor? She's the best grandma ever. And also, does Bruce Willis know about this film?
I tried to connect with Bruce Willis and his lawyers, but I can't. I hope one day he could watch the film, because I'm sure he couldn't imagine how important was this to my grandma. This is a revenge. if you see the short film, and I hope Bruce Willis has a good sense of humor. You understand why when you watch it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And how did you find your actor?
My actor, my star. I don't understand. How did I find my starring?
Yeah, the grandmother. Yes.
Yes, it's my grandmother.
Oh, that's actually your grandmother.
Yes, she's my grandma, and my family is all actors. My granddad was an actor. My grandma and my father is an actor. He actually works in a very famous TV series in Spain. It's Cuéntame cómo pasó. It's about the history of Spain, and I didn't like to act because I over acting, and I prefer to write and directing.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. I mean, she's really great, and it's cool that she got to kind of reenact some of her life, in this experience. Yeah, and also amazing that you have a family of actors. You can always use them all. So congratulations, great.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so next I would love to talk about Buddy. And I was curious, I love the story. Was there any improv, and who wrote the taco song? Because it was so funny. I literally died laughing.
I'm sorry that my best friend and co-writer, co-producer, co-star, Vanessa couldn't be here right now. But Vanessa absolutely gets writing credit for the taco song. Yeah, a lot of it was improvised. Vanessa and I actually both have a background in improv. And so we brought a lot of that we kind of like, we wrote the script and we stuck to it, but a lot of it was, in the moment, just making stuff up. Absolutely. So, which is fun, especially since we know each other so well, it was, it was a very casual, collaborative experience for us.
Yeah. I could tell. Yeah, everything came across really naturally. And that's why I kind of was like, oh, this feels like, it's almost like you're documenting, because it felt, I had some of that moment, in some of the stories. So it was great. It was really fun to watch.
We didn't be like, oh, it's just us. It was like kind of a heightened version of ourselves that we enjoyed playing, but genuine friendship and the genuine rapport between us came through, even though we're definitely not just exactly like the people in the movie.
Right.
Luckily, we had such a good rapport. It was easy.
Yeah. And how did you find the dog?
Oh, Buddy is my dog. He's my little guy. And he's been the star of other works of mine. He's my muse. And the sad thing is that like I said, I was trying to get pregnant and I was creatively feeling very stifled. So I wrote this, and I mean, Buddy was my little baby at the time, but I basically became pregnant while we were shooting this. It's just funny the way the world works. But anyway, Buddy and my baby don't get along. So he actually he opted to go live with another friend of mine. He said, I'm out of here. I'm gone. He wants to live his bachelor life. So
fair enough.
Now he's in retirement with a friend of mine.
Well, that's good. I'm glad Betty found a second wind in life. Everyone, That's amazing. Thank you. So I wanted to ask about How to Lose Everything, a field guide. Such a beautiful film. It was just, the animation was done so well. I really enjoyed the voiceover and all that stuff. I was curious, how long did it take to make this film, and what were some of the techniques that you used? Because I'm so curious about all that stuff.
That's a question for Becky and the many, many hours. I think over 3,600 images that she made.
I have a little example of, okay, so this is 1/3 of the film. So there's two more books like this that are just filled with a million watercolors. But I think, in a sense, once we got to the stage where we were doing the painting, and I did most of them, my partner Keith helped with some of the coloring, because repetitive strain injuries are a real thing in animation. But I feel like the process was probably longer, just because going back and forth with the storyboards. I can't even imagine. How long ago did you write this piece, Krista?
I wrote it in, I guess, 2018. And then we got the funding late 2019. And then you and I started, I think, spring of 2020. It was and then I think once we were, in that back and forth and you were doing all of that work, it was about 6 months.
I think it was, like a really intensive 6 months. And then at the end of it, it was sort of just like, okay, we know what the film's going to look like. And I had these kind of rough pencil sketches where things were kind of moving, and we had decided what kind of colors we wanted to use. And then we just sort of went for it. So that was all done with with watercolor. A number of different, I mean, I used up every watercolor in sight, but we specifically used some really nice paints from an Indigenous paint maker on Manitoulin Island in Canada called Beam Paints. Their stuff is lovely. And we also had, there's a little bit of under camera animation in it. Some things with found leaves and little pieces of nature. One of Krista's friends, who appears sort of as an animated character in the film, made this beautiful crocheted heart for us that I got to shoot. And sort of felt terrible because it unravels at the beginning of the film, and I had to like unmake this beautiful, wonderful thing she had. But it's all in the name of filmmaking, right?
And part of what I was drawn to animation for this story, because it's about grief, and I, even though I wasn't the one spending all those hours creating a frame by frame, but it felt like it was a story that had to be made slowly, moment by moment, as you kind of get through grief and things are shifting around you. Like I was drawn to a process that was going to be, just made by hand, and with this kind of just one dot to the next dot to the next dot. And so, yeah, and Becky did, and Keith did all of that work by hand, and some of the found objects. But also at one point I mailed Becky a package of some objects that were meaningful to me that she included as well in there. Yeah, but yeah, kind of 6 months actively in production, and then all the stuff since.
Wow, that's a lot of work. Congratulations to you guys for finishing that and setting your mind to it. I mean, I can't even imagine. But it turned out so beautifully. So obviously all the work paid off. So congratulations. Okay, so next I would love to ask Elena about your descent. I was curious what inspired the ritual, and what was the origin of that? And have you actually tried it yourself before?
No, the ritual, I completely made it up. It was very interesting because I wanted to include, all the chanting and the Latin stuff. So I really just went on Google Translate, and I would write something in Spanish and be like, so what would this be like in Latin? And try to make the words sound really beautiful. Pick also like a good pairing of words. And really the ritual, it was always there from the beginning. The idea that she would want to add something, that the protagonist would want to work with magic and try a spell, because it was like this moment of such deep frustration, such like really like desperate times called for desperate measures. And I don't know, I'm personally really fascinated by magic and spells and this like fantastic way of looking at the world, and was hidden in plain sight. So it was actually so much fun. Probably the best part was figuring out also how to get the props and the salt, and when she does the circle, everything, it was also so much fun to practice that with the actresses, because it was like a choreography. I remember we'd map out like on a piece of paper, so here's the pool, and you're going to take this here and go do the salt circles here, and sprinkling in the water and the chanting. They each had to memorize the Latin. It was really interesting. They'd even asked us, like in the first, us being my producer Sophia, who couldn't be here today, but she is a genius at what she does. So we'd just be like the five of us, the three actresses and us two, and they'd look at us and be like, what does this mean? Like, this is Latin. We don't understand. What does this mean? And I just tell them like straight up, I just made up some, like a few sentences that ended up sounding really like beautiful in Latin. And this is what this means. Let's go with it.
I love that. I mean, it was cool. It was really cool. Did you shoot that in Costa Rica?
Yes, it was in, I don't know how you say finca in English. In English, sorry, it's like like this place, almost kind of farm-like a really big place with nature and trees everywhere, like in like a field almost. My aunt and her husband's family lives in one. So when I was writing it, I had that in mind, like we can shoot with all these trees and nature, and it was really interesting because there's some peacocks like around there and roosters. So when we were shooting like at midnight, almost the day was starting, they'd start making all these noises. We'd have to stop. The sound guy would be like, we have to stop because the roosters and the peacocks, and they're making noises. There was one particular take where we swore one of the peacocks fell from a tree because it started just screaming, and we all couldn't help but laugh at the idea that we had like a peacock in the background and roosters, and there was a party next door. It was a very interesting experience.
That sounds like a very interesting experience. I'm like, next time the peacock needs to make the movie.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, great location. It was really great. And beautiful story. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And next, I'd love to ask about Woman of the Earth from Kiara. And I just love the story so much. And I really had so many questions after this. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to know more about these two sisters. They're so interesting. And also this was shot so beautifully. I thought the cinematography was so beautiful and like with restraints too, which I thought was really, really nice. It felt really specific to the story. And I was curious, like, how long did you follow these two sisters for, and how did you meet them?
Yeah. So this was my first film ever. So I did a lot of pre-interview and prep work. I actually met them through a friend of a friend, a very close childhood friend of mine, went to school with Freya, the younger sister. And so she had introduced me to them. And a few years back, I just started to learn more about what they were doing. I found it to be interesting. I was living in New York City at the time, and just two young people like living kind of in the middle of nowhere on a farm doing their thing with all of this knowledge. I was just very inspired by their lifestyle and how they were choosing to spend their time and their knowledge. So I went up to the farm a few times and did like a few hours of interviewing them and recording them. In all honesty, this film like very much comes from them. I tried to have like a light touch as a director and kind of like let their story really shine throughout the film. And then the filming was actually super short. I was working full time at the time. So it was like a Saturday, Sunday, 48 hours. We filmed them. We stayed at the farm. So we filmed them basically like 12 or 14 hours for 2 days straight. And then we left, and that was all. So the film is pretty reflective of their life and how they spend their time. But yeah, I didn't know them super well beforehand, and I got to know them really well throughout the filming.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, you covered a lot in 48 hours, so you did such a great job with that. I mean, and you also it seems like, just from judging from my perspective, like that you really prepared well for that 2 days then, because there's so many different, besides interviews, you got these like beautiful shots here and like all these close-ups, and then also really majestic like drone shots and all that stuff. So really great planning. I mean, that's amazing. And was there like a certain season that you shot at? Like, I was curious if there were like seasonal restraints, because certain seasons might not look as good, or something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So cannabis and hemp. So this is industrial hemp, but in general, cannabis has to be harvested towards late fall. Like, I think the first day of filming was actually on the fall equinox last year, which also just happened for us this year. So we were totally on nature's schedule. I was like wanting to film earlier, and they were like, we can't harvest earlier. So we filmed in kind of like mid-fall. But to your other question, like, I just had such an incredible team who is so down for anything. And as well as the two sisters just like really opened up their lives to us and let us in completely. So yeah, very lucky to have a great team to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. That was great. Thank you so much for sharing. And I guess I would love to wrap up this session with what is something that you would like for everyone? This is for everyone, and we'll kind of go in different order. But yeah, like, what is something that you think you would like viewers to take away from your film? And also, what is next for you? And if you can remember this too, where can people find you on social media? So let's start with Arantxa.
One of the questions was, I didn't remember.
Yeah, I'll guide you, don't worry. What is something that you would like viewers to take away from your film?
To take away, you mean the most important thing about my short film?
Mm-hmm.
It's a tribute to my grandma, to her career since she was a child at theater, and she was the strongest woman I've ever met in my life. she loves her profession, and she died before I have the short film finished. So I always imagine a great premiere with my grandma in the red carpet, but I couldn't because she died. But I think she's with me. And the best of my short film is her love for her profession and the strength.
Beautiful. I love that. And what's next for you? And where can people find you?
Next, do you mean about my next project?
Yeah, next project.
I'm writing a film. I jump, and I'm writing a thriller, adventure thriller, in Spain, in Toledo, and I'm very exciting about that. And now I'm starting with a production company of women who support other women to develop their screenplays and jump onto the labs, the script labs, and pitching. And now I'm starting this way. I have finished my first version. I must write, but I'm excited. And what people can find me in Instagram as Arantxa Salamanca, and Vimeo, and in these two places is better.
Very cool. Yeah, and if everyone wants to drop in like their Instagram handles on the chat, that way people can find you and you guys can follow each other if you'd like to do that, and watch each other's films that way. Thank you so much, Arantxa. It was nice. It was nice to hear about that. And next, I would love to ask Nicole. Yes, what is something that you would like viewers to take away from your film?
I really just think for me, it's about cherishing your friendships, and that we can lose sight so easily of climbing the ladder and doing, at least I can. So for me, it's just remembering like the gift we have of friendship. And I do think, family is amazing, and significant others are amazing, but for me, friendship is it's just been a lifelong gift. But you have to work at it. So that's what I want people to take away.
Yeah, absolutely. Friendship is really beautiful, and obviously it makes the world go round, and I think you display that really beautifully with your film. And what is next for you, and how can people find you?
Right now I'm really dedicated to being a full-time mom, which I'm surprised at how much I'm loving. And it's given me an opportunity to reflect on how I bring my creativity and my ambition into my life. So I've actually recently been focusing more on painting. I have a degree in art, but I've focused so much on acting and film and television work. I live in LA. I think I failed to mention that in the jumble earlier. Los Angeles. So I've really taken the pandemic and this time to kind of slow things down. And so, I've been working on my painting and on more like healing arts, getting into sort of I feel like I'm in a safe space with all these women to like talk about woo-woo stuff. But I'm getting into like their type of my creativity. But I'm very excited about Buddy having a home here, and I want to now sort of move on to the next project film wise. And I have a couple ideas that I'm kind of mentally workshopping. But for right now, I'm sort of like going to let it come to me what the next filmic move is. But yeah, and then people can find me on social media. It's just my first and last name, Nicole.Duport. And I'm going to go and follow everybody. I was able to watch a couple of the films before today, but I'm going to watch everybody else's this weekend. But yeah, and I'll probably send messages to everybody because I'm already so touched by what I've seen. But yeah, Nicole.Duport is my social. social media, and I'll put that in the comments or the chat.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Nicole. All right, so next is Krista and Becky. Yeah, so I guess what is something that you would really like viewers to take away from your film?
With the book How to Lose Everything, and with this passage, the field guide, for me, what I hope people get from it is if they're going through a big loss, or when they do down the road, or if they're supporting someone going through loss, this is an example of one way to get through it, which in turn is hopefully a feeling of not being alone. I think we were telling this very personal story, but in a way that it could be this guide, it could be an invitation to, like, this is what it could be like. Someone has been there before. You will get through it. And what's next? I mean, we made this film not sneakily exactly, but I'd received a grant for developing a project. And we made the film as the proof of concept for a series of short films, knowing that if we weren't successful in getting the next stage of funding, at least we would have made this one beautiful film that could stand on its own. But we got the funding. And so this is now episode 1 in a series of 5 short animated films. Each one explores a different experience of loss. Each one is written by an Indigenous writer and will be animated by an Indigenous writer, though there's one with an illustrator that Becky will partner with, and she'll do the animation. Becky's our one non-native person on the team, but we like her. And Becky will be doing like the opening title sequence, kind of to tie in the other films into this first one. And so we're starting production on that hopefully very soon, and that these teams will be working all in their different places across the country. And as series director, I'll be just kind of supporting them through. And so next is just like getting to see these other films get made that were kind of connected to this first one, which is really, really, I'm so excited about it. I feel so passionate about it. And people can find me on Instagram at Krista Couture, and then all the other various places, all the other socials, and on Spotify and Bandcamp, and yeah, thank you. As I said, I think before we were streaming, but because we're in Canada and the films are geo-blocked, we weren't able to watch them from here, but I'm hoping maybe they'll make it to a Canadian festival, and that we can see your work in other places, and just thank you so much for having us in our film. So Becky, I'll let you add to that.
I mean, I just echoing what Krista said. It's a privilege to be in this festival. It was a privilege to work on this project, and so excited to see it continuing to develop. And then I get to be a part of that. And then if you want to find me on social media, I'm at Becky O'Neill. Becky has 2 Ks, or I'm at Cardboard Reality Studio for my studio work. And then when I'm not collaborating with Krista, my next project is a graphic novel that I'm working on right now about the process of starting an organic farm, which will be called Bumblefoot, or 12 Ways to Kill a Duck. So that's what I'm up to. And this cat that's been sleeping behind me this whole time is also named Buddy. I just feel like I should throw that in there.
Oh, crossing of pets. I love that. It's insane. Well, I'm excited to check out the rest of the series. It's going to be so beautiful. So congratulations on getting funding for it. All right, so I think Elena is next. What is something that you would like viewers to take away from your film?
I would like viewers to take from the film. I think that the message that we also learned, we had a crew that was all female except for the sound guy, because, oh man, I don't know what it is that it's so hard to find women that do sound, that work in like the sound department. So he was just like this one dude surrounded by also mostly queer women, just there with the boom, like, okay, guess I'm here. We all had this lesson of, shooting underwater, all these things that we had going on, of even if you have everything planned out, like even to the details, it won't necessarily work out the way that you intended to, which is what happens to Esther, the protagonist. She has everything in this ritual planned out just to such fine details. And in the end, she gets, I guess, a surprise that could be interpreted by one of her friends reacts almost like, oh, this is not what we wanted. Whereas the other one goes, okay, this isn't what we wanted, but it's beautiful. So even when there are a lot of adversities and things don't go how you expect them to, how you would want them to, there's still something beautiful and something that you can take away. And if that doesn't say a lot about the film process, the process of like writing and directing, I don't know what does. That you can plan everything perfectly, and in the end you're like, oh, well, but still it came out really beautiful, and you can find amazing things even from the harshest lessons in life. So that's something that I think even the crew, we were all like, okay, well, we learned a lot and we're really proud in the end. There's a lot that we can take from it. So that would be what I'd love for viewers to take away, and liking it and enjoying the experience. Yeah. My next project is, well, right now I think that the biggest goal is, as a student finishing my uni, like the university career, journalism school. And I recently got to do something that really opened my eyes to something that I guess could be like I was going to say casamiento in Spanish, like a marriage between journalism and film. I got the opportunity to do a coverage for an independent news outlet here about non-binary artists, like 3 non-binary Costa Rican artists. And I got to work with a former film student from the university I was in. So we got to film one of them while they were doing like a hand poking tattoo, and with their style and like this whole funkadelic thing they have going on. So it was really nice to mix 3 things that I really like: writing, doing like an essay sort of thing, telling people stories, and the whole film part. Because my friend who's a filmmaker got to shoot everything, and it was just like this really beautiful, nurturing process for everyone involved, which I had no idea could happen with journalism, because it's such like it can be, when they teach it, it's such a square thing. But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, there is a really good way to tell people's stories in an interesting way that captures their essence by mixing film, a more narrative type of essay style of writing, and journalism. So that's something that I would also like to explore in the near future. As for social media, I already went completely to the chat to follow everyone. My handle is at Elena Aguilar, then C for Castillo, and the number 2. Elena Aguilar C2.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Elena. It was great to hear all about your new
Thank
stuff.
you for having us here.
Yeah, and I'm excited for your journalism journey as well. It'll be really interesting. And Kiara, your last but not least, obviously, what is something that you would like viewers to take away from your film?
Yeah, so many things. You know, the biggest thing is that women are doing really important healing work to heal the earth from climate change in all parts of this world. And we don't own a lot of land or get a lot of credit for that work, but women are most affected by climate change out of any population of people in the world. So we really need to be lifting up those women who are doing that work, and I'm very honored to be telling those stories. What's next? I just actually made the 2nd installment of this series, Women of the Earth. Just finished the next episode. And it focuses on Twyla Casador. She's on the San Carlos Apache Reservation in Arizona. She's an indigenous teacher, land healer, amazing person. She forages and she hunts in Native Indigenous ways, and she shares that knowledge with people in her community. So look out for that, hopefully coming to festivals soon. And you can find me on Instagram, just my first and last name, Kiara Hollander. And then I have also a site for the Women of the Earth series, and it's just at Women of the Earth series. So feel free to follow that for stills. And I just released a trailer for the new work. So if you're interested in that, feel free to follow along.
That's amazing. I can't wait to watch the rest of them. And it's so cool. Like, so how many do you think you'll have?
That's a great question. I would love to at least make 3 more to have 5 total. So yeah, going to keep on that journey. I also just started an MFA in film and media arts. So I'm trying to figure out how to be a student and balance my own work. But yeah, I'm excited to keep telling these stories.
That's amazing. Well, congratulations. And I'm excited to keep watching the rest of them. All right, everyone. Thank you guys so much for such a lovely session. For me, it's mornings. I'm like, for such a lovely morning so far. For all of you, it's like different times. But thank you guys so much. And it was just really great to watch all your films and see, you know, all of your different ideas and the things that you want to impart with your work. And it was just such a great time to listen to you also talk about it, you know, and I wish you all well on your journey. And your filmmaking journey and the work that you're doing, and keep going at it, you know, just keep going. I think it's really important for us to just keep on supporting each other and just, you know, support each other and each other's voices. So congratulations again. And thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys soon.